Hello, everyone. Uh, Virgo, let's talk about what creates real financial change versus what keeps you comfortable in poverty. Spiritual bypassing around money is epidemic. People use language about divine provision, about the universe supplying, about claiming what's already theirs in the spiritual realm, all while avoiding the uncomfortable truth that money flows through specific mechanisms in this physical reality. And those mechanisms are providing value people will pay for, developing skills markets reward, creating products or services that solve problems, building systems that generate income beyond your direct labor, not claiming, not aligning vibrationally, not believing hard enough that you're entitled to abundance. Those things might make you feel better about your current financial situation, might give you sense of agency in domain where you actually feel powerless, might create temporary relief from the anxiety of not having enough, but they don't put money in your account. They just keep you stuck in spiritual framework that absolves you of responsibility for your financial reality while promising that breakthrough is always just around the corner. How long have you been using spiritual language around money without seeing material change? Calculate honestly. Because here's what ready to transfer language does: it creates expectation of passivity. It suggests money will arrive through external action, divine, cosmic, universal, rather than through your effort. And that expectation, it's disempowering because as long as you're waiting for external transfer, you're not building internal capacity. You're not developing skills. You're not creating value. You're not doing the work that actually generates income. You're just waiting, believing, claiming, while your bank account stays exactly where it is. So if you've been in that pattern, if you've been using abundance language without seeing abundance materialize, it's time to get honest. The transfer isn't coming. Heaven isn't managing your finances. The universe isn't paying your bills. You are, through choices you make, through work you do, through value you create. That's the only mechanism that actually works. Everything else is comforting fiction. Can you accept that, or do you need to keep believing in magical solutions? Your financial situation reflects which you've been choosing. Because I need to talk about what abundance you're called to claim suggests. It implies there's already existing wealth that belongs to you. That's just waiting for you to assert your right to it. That will flow to you once you've aligned properly, or believed correctly, or released blocks. But that's not how money works. Money doesn't exist in pre-allocated spiritual accounts waiting for rightful owners to claim it. Money exists in economic systems. It flows through exchanges of value. It accumulates through consistent earning and strategic investing and living below your means. There's no cosmic reserve with your name on it. There's no divine transfer waiting for you to get spiritually ready enough to receive it. There's just you and economic reality, and whether you're creating value within that reality that generates income. So, claiming your abundance isn't a spiritual act, it's economic act. It's developing skills people will pay for. It's building business that serves market need. It's investing wisely and consistently over time. That's the claiming that actually produces results. not affirmations, not visualization, not spiritual alignment. Are you claiming through action or through positive thinking? Your bank balance reveals the answer, because here's what actually happens when people use this language. They spend money they don't have on courses about abundance, on coaching about manifestation, on programs promising to unlock their prosperity consciousness. And those purchases, they create temporary feeling of taking action toward wealth, feel like investment in financial future, feel like doing something about money situation, but they're actually making the problem worse, because money that could be saved or invested or used to develop practical skills is instead being funneled into spiritual money ideology that doesn't produce measurable results. So the person gets poorer while feeling like they're on path to wealth. And when wealth doesn't materialize, the framework has built-in explanation. You haven't released your blocks yet. You're still holding scarcity consciousness. You need to do more inner work. It's unfalsifiable system. It can never be proven wrong because lack of results is always attributed to user error, not system failure. How much have you spent on abundance teachings without seeing corresponding increase in actual abundance? Calculate the real cost of magical thinking, because I want to address what might be underneath this for you. Maybe you're in genuine financial difficulty, struggling to meet basic needs, anxious about how you'll handle upcoming expenses, feeling the pressure of not having enough. And if that's the case, if you're in real hardship, spiritual abundance language is not what you need. You need practical resources. You need information about assistance programs. You need budget help. You need possibly career counseling or skill development or concrete strategies for increasing income. You need tools that address actual problem, not comforting narratives that make you feel better about problem while leaving it unsolved. Or maybe you're not in crisis. Maybe you're just dissatisfied with your financial situation, want more than you have. Feel frustrated that wealth building is slow and requires discipline you don't enjoy maintaining. And if that's the case, if you're just impatient, then the work is different. It's learning to tolerate delayed gratification. It's understanding compound interest and giving it time to work. It's developing patience with process that takes years or decades to produce significant results. It's growing up financially, not looking for shortcuts through spiritual frameworks that promise fast results. Which category actually describes your situation? Be honest about what you're really dealing with, because here's what wealth building actually requires: living below your means, which means making choices that feel restrictive, saying no to things you want, tolerating less comfortable circumstances than you could afford if you spent everything you earned, investing consistently, which means putting money into accounts you can't easily access, watching it potentially decline in value during market downturns, trusting process that doesn't feel good in the moment, developing valuable skills, which means spending time learning things that might not interest you but that markets reward, potentially going back to school. Certainly putting in hours of deliberate practice, building or creating, which means working beyond your paid hours, taking risks, potentially failing multiple times before something succeeds, tolerating uncertainty that employment doesn't create. All of that is uncomfortable. All of that requires discipline. most people don't want to maintain. All of that takes longer than you'd prefer, so it's tempting to look for alternative path, spiritual path, manifestation path where belief creates reality and abundance flows to those aligned enough to receive it. But that path doesn't work. It just keeps you comfortable in poverty while telling you that wealth is coming. Which path are you actually willing to walk? Choose honestly. Because I also need to address people who are actually building wealth. They're not consuming content about claiming abundance. They're not waiting for cosmic transfers. They're not trying to align vibrationally with prosperity. They're reading about tax optimization, about investment strategies, about business scaling, about market trends, about skill development that increases earning potential. They're consuming information that helps them make better financial decisions, not content that makes them feel better about current financial situation. So if you're serious about building wealth, if you actually want money in your account, change what you're consuming. Stop clicking on content about abundance activation and divine provision. Start consuming content that teaches practical wealth building strategies. Follow people who've built actual businesses. Study real investment approaches. Learn from individuals who made money through concrete actions, not through believing correctly. That's how you become financially successful, not through spiritual alignment, through strategic action. What are you actually learning versus what are you just feeling good about? Audit your inputs, because ultimately, here's the truth. Heaven isn't transferring anything to your account. The universe isn't managing your finances. Divine abundance isn't waiting for you to claim it. Your financial situation is determined by math. Income minus expenses equals what you can save. Savings invested consistently over time equals wealth accumulation through compound returns. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. Not manifestation, not vibration, not spiritual alignment, just math plus discipline plus time. And anyone can do it. It's not reserved for special people. It's not distributed through cosmic selection. It's just arithmetic applied consistently. But most people won't do it because arithmetic is boring, because discipline is hard, because delayed gratification is uncomfortable. So they look for easier path, spiritual path where belief matters more than action and feeling aligned is progress even when bank balance doesn't change, and that path keeps them exactly where they are. Financially struggling while spiritually convinced they're on verge of breakthrough. Which path are you choosing? Your account balance already knows the answer, even if you're still lying to yourself. So stop waiting for transfers that aren't coming. Stop claiming abundance through spiritual rhetoric. Stop looking for cosmic bailout from financial reality. Start doing the actual work, the boring work, the disciplined work, the work that takes years but actually produces results. Or don't. Keep consuming abundance content. Keep believing divine provision is coming. Keep waiting for alignment to create material change. But at least be honest with yourself about which choice you're making, because the universe doesn't care. Heaven doesn't have a finance department. Money doesn't respond to spiritual language. Only you can care enough to do something real about your situation. Will you? Heaven helps those who help themselves through strategic financial planning, consistent execution, and boring discipline applied over decades. Everything else is fantasy.